In this video I will be demonstrating the spider web pendant. Suitable stones for this design include large cabochons. For a budget make you can use large glass pebbles. You can use gemstone palm stones. For this video I will be using this flat tumbled stone. The measurements in this demonstration are for stones a similar size to mine. If your stone is larger, you will need to adjust the length of the wires. You will need 4 base wires. I will be weaving the 4 wires together at certain points. Where these points are will depend on the shape of your stone. My stone almost seems to have corners at the bottom, so this is where I will set 2 of my woven sections. The other weaving points will be at the top of the stone on both sides of where the bale will be. If your stone is a more regular oval shape, your weaving points will be at the centre of the bottom, in the middle of both sides, and at the top on both sides of where the bale will be. Take the first base wire and find the middle. If you have an oval stone, this will be where your first weave will be. I am weaving at the corners of this stone, so my weaves will be on either side of the centre point. Start by wrapping twice around the base wire. Add the next wire below the first and wrap twice around both wires. Add the next wire below the others and wrap twice around both the bottom wires. Wrap twice around the 2 upper wires. Add the next wire above the others. Wrap twice around the 2 upper wires. Wrap twice around the 2 middle wires. Wrap twice around the 2 lower wires. Wrap twice around the 2 middle wires. Wrap twice around the 2 upper wires. Wrap twice around the 2 middle wires. Wrap twice around the lower of the 2 middle wires. Remove the excess weaving wire. Place the next set of weaves using exactly the same pattern. Estimate where the next set of weaves will be and once again use the same weaving pattern. You don't have to be spot on with the weave placements, as they can be adjusted by sliding them along the base wires. Turn the wires around and weave the final section using the same pattern. Start shaping the wires around the stone. If your stone is being slippery and awkward, use some painter's tape to hold it in position. Separate the second to last wires on both sides. Cross the wires over each other at the top of the stone. Wrap both of these wires a couple of times around the rest of the wires. Starting at the bottom of the stone, bend the wires over the stone to hold it in position. Now repeat with the sides. Remove the excess from the wires wrapped around the top wires. Separate the back two wires. For the bail I am using 28 gauge wire. Start with the weave-in wire between the two base wires. This is to anchor the weave-in wire. Simply wrap the weave-in wire around both wires. I have wrapped the wires for 3/4 of an inch. Wrap the weave-in wire once around each wire, finishing with the weave-in wire between the two base wires. Remove the excess weave-in wire. I am using a small screwdriver to help shape the bail. Bend the woven wires into a loop, bringing the unwoven wires to the front of the pendant. Cut the wires short and tuck the ends into the gap above the stone. Separate and line up the wires. Bend the wires down over the front of the stone, leaving a gap between the wires. Take a length of 28 gauge wire and wrap it a few times around the outer wire. We are going to create a web effect, so as you wrap, leave large gaps between the wires. Wrap once around each of the wires, maintaining the gap between the wires. loosely around the innermost wire to create a space after the previous wrap before going back along the wires to the other side. Continue weaving back and forwards along the wires. Where the outer wire comes into contact with the side base wire, I am threading the weaving wire underneath to attach the two wires together. Do the same with the inner wire. If you struggle getting the weaving wire under the base wire, you can gently lift it to make a small gap. When reaching the bottom base wire, bend the wire and use the weaving wire to attach to the base wire. Cut the wire short and make a loop in the cut end. Move on to the next wire and repeat the process. The inner wire is attached to the side wire. Add shape to the thinner wires by creating arches. Hold the wire in position with your thumb as you shape the wire. Take one of the offcuts of 20 gauge wire. Cut down to just short of 1 inch. I am using the smallest section of my bail making pliers to make a loop. Flip the wires and use the second section to create a loop in the other end to create a figure of 8. If you don't have these pliers, your loops need to be just slightly smaller than your beads. I have a 3mm and a 4mm bead. The bead should just sit on top of the loops without falling through. Take a length of weaving wire. I am using 30 gauge, but you can use a thicker wire if you prefer. Leave a couple of inches excess and wrap the wire a couple of times around the bottom of the larger loop. Thread on the larger of the beads. Position the bead on top of the loop and wrap the weaving wire a few times around the wire between the loops. Thread on the smaller bead. Position the bead and wrap a few times around the top of the small loop. Take a 14-inch length of 28 gauge wire. Measure 3 inches and bend the wire. Measure 1 inch and bend the wire. Bend the wire level with the first bend. Continue bending the wire back and forth until you have 4 bends on both ends. On both sides you should now have 4 bends and a longer length. Hold the wires in the middle and wrap the longer length twice around. Flip the wires and repeat with the other longer length. Position these wires underneath the beads with the centre between the loops. Wrap each of the longer wires a few times around the wire between the beads. Remove the excess. Separate the bent wires. Twist each bent wire approximately 7 times. Bend the wires upwards. Make a downwards bend in the middle of each wire. This is your little spider. To attach your spider to the web, wrap the excess weaving wire multiple times around the nearest 20 gauge wire. Remove the excess weaving wire. Add as many spiders as you feel the need. Thank you for viewing. Please join me for my next video.